What is the solution is what the Rent to Them High Party here to produce solutions. The rent is continuously rising. What can we do to help people saving college tuition? The president should have waived college tuition. The president can waive the debt of the American people because of what he did. All of these problems come from one point. We can't count in America. There is no deficit. There is no fiscal cliff, and there is no sequester. All because the president can't count. We found $11.56 trillion in the United States Department of Treasury, money that is sitting there. If Americans can count, it would be a much different story on how to resolve the problems that people are suffering. You go to work, you work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and a third job. When you pay your rent, you can't buy food. If they're talking about schools and education, who's going to be sitting in those classrooms if the parents get evicted or lose their homes to foreclosure? We have a problem that needs solution. Elected officials need to step up. We have a failed democratic system in this country, and it needs to be corrected.
In general, if you look at foreclosure policy in this country over the last few years, it really hasn't been very good. There have been some very serious problems with the way we've, I mean, it wasn't like it was a secret when Barack Obama became president in 2009 that we were going to have to deal with a big flood of foreclosures because of the housing crisis. And if you look at the Obama administration's foreclosure policy, it was basically a deal where the administration handed over administration of all the important details to the biggest banks in the country. And of course, these are the biggest banks in the country, which had gone crazy on this housing bubble, which is why we're having all these foreclosures to begin with. The policy didn't work out very well.
I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that, but I'm sick of all the talk. People need results right now.
Let's talk to Peter about this, because Peter wrote about this for Bloomberg Business Week. And Peter, I mean, the numbers here are I think pretty, at least according to your story, pretty startling relative to where things have been historically. I mean, what are the big sort of like macro level forces here that are at play?
The macro force is that housing supply is not keeping up with demand, especially in the low end of the market. Just to take one example, we used to build public housing in this country. We're not building it anymore, and the stuff we have is falling down. The HUD estimates that there's $26 billion in capital expenses that need to be spent in order to upgrade or restore the level of public housing. Instead, the money that's going into housing is actually falling. The housing is getting to worse condition. And we have the vouchers. The vouchers is a way that people can supplement their own resources to get housing. They're getting hit by sequestration. They don't keep up with the growth of the need the same way the food stamp program, for example, does. Mm-hmm. So everything is conspiring against the poor families that most need support.